welcome to Corner Cafe. I am Rachel Maines, and well, I have my good friend back on the show, Darren Rahn. Welcome, Darren.
Hey, thanks, Rachel. It's great to be with you here today, and thanks for having me.
Always love having you on the show. You have so much wisdom, and hey, I'm just going to brag about you. You're very gifted in what you do as a saxophonist and as a jazz producer as well. How are things going?
Well, they're going good. They're going good. If a measure of how things are going is how much time I have right now to get them done, then I guess things are going great. I seem to need a few extra hours in the day, but also combining that with, making sure that I'm not overdoing it.
Right.
I did for way too many years.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. We've talked on previous programs how there was an imbalance, and your faith has helped you to kind of balance things out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I'm looking forward to this coming Sunday at Biff Gorse Church, Highline Community Church. You're going to be playing, and I'm going to sing a song with my dad. It's kind of like the tradition now within what Biff's doing, what I'm doing, and what you're doing.
Yeah, it'll be a good time, and I always love doing this with Biff and with you and your dad and our other friends, the musicians that'll be there. Just a really kind of up close and personal time of really reflecting on what Christmas is really about. And it's not overly produced. It's just kind of a very up close and personal and intimate environment, and I really love that.
Yeah, and listeners, I highly encourage you to come on down. It's free, which is very rare, especially to see Darren Rahn. So definitely come on down, and it is super intimate. And, that's the thing. It's the free gift of the season, which is salvation. But I do like the heart of Highline Community Church to want to offer this as a free concert because, nowadays I think maybe we can overdo it with not giving our time, and it's all about the dollar.
Yes. Yeah, and I think also just, what our world has created this time of year, not only the commercialism, but it really does drain pocketbooks. And so it's nice to be a part of something that is not, caught up in that rat race.
Right.
So,
and for the listeners,
accessible.
Yeah, exactly, and be accessible for sure. Sorry to cut you off there, Darren, but I want to make sure that I give the time. So it's Sunday, December 15th at 6:30 p.m. at Highline Community Church, and I'll give that info later on in the show. But Darren, you're a busy guy, but one thing I really appreciate about you is you're very self-reflective, and you're always growing as a person, as an artist, as a producer. What's new on your heart right now?
Well, I think I've entered a season in my life where I reflect a lot about the greater purpose in life. And when I was younger, my idea of success was kind of a little more traditional, the building a career and finances and family and then, gearing towards, a traditional retirement and I think the world measures success kind of along those lines. And I'd say at this point in my life, I see things very, very differently now. Success being reaching and finding God's true purpose for our life.
Right.
And being successful for me these days isn't as much about those benchmarks in life. And in fact, I think maybe even the opposite now, realizing I don't know that we're supposed to just live and work and create and become successful so that we can just stop doing it. I think maybe the opposite. Entering a time in my life where it feels like now a bit of a responsibility to pass that on to others and to keep sharing what I've been given.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And many, would aspire to have the accolades that you have. But what I always hear you say is, hey, this isn't really my ultimate fulfillment. Sure, I'm feel blessed to be able to do what I love, but it's not, the full reason why you are here, nor is it something that you kind of think this is what I have to do necessarily to be valued.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sense of identity, I think, is really important to figure that out. So, often I think of a few things when they combine, things start to make sense. I think when purpose and passion and gifting come together, you begin to start to see the purpose, the greater purpose. And for many years, maybe I had one or two of those things, but maybe not all three of them. And I've hit a point in my life where I think it's really important to make sure that I'm not just being successful for me, for whatever the things in life are that I had always hoped for, but rather to realize it's for a greater purpose. It's to share the gifts God has given me with others. And in doing that and reframing my perspective more to a perspective of serving others, in doing this, it has created an incredible amount of stability for the work and the career that God has given me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always so encouraged when I hear your testimony, and when I hear, how the Lord worked within growing your gift, but growing your career. What are some of the misconceptions you had earlier on in your career?
Well, I think once again, looking at those pinnacles for self, achievement, accolades, things that would perhaps make me look like a big deal in the eyes of others. Mm-hmm. And only to find out that most of those situations were situations where either I was acting selfishly or people who were working with me really had ulterior motives. It wasn't so much about the truth of the music or the things we were working on. It was more about where they wanted to go and where they wanted to get. And so I think now at this point in my life, there really has been a shift. And gosh, Rachel, it's very interesting to talk about this. I know a lot of people want to look at the earthly success, the things that make us successful from an earthly standpoint. And I think I've told you this before, but at this point in my life, I don't even know that I can really go too deep in that direction, because I've realized after all these years that seeking God's purpose for my life and using the gift He's given me really is all that matters. That those are the parts of my career that intersect with my faith. And so it's very difficult for me to separate those. People have asked me
right.
The successes, whether that be on the Billboard chart or nominations in various arenas that I've received over the years, that those are the things that tend to impress others, when the reality is it was God that was orchestrating those steps all along. And so right. I think for me, it really comes back to the beginning, which is God gave me a specific set of gifts to use. And in my case, that's music. And for each and every person that's trying to succeed, that's going to look different. Their gift might be in communication or, business or finances or hospitality. Everyone kind of has their own set of gifts. Mm-hmm. But when I found out what my gift was and then dedicated myself to pursuing it with excellence and combining that with the passion that I had, that's when things really began to change. So in my case, that was music. The music industry is tough. So figuring out how to take that gift of making music and getting into the business part of it was a big step for me, because the business world it's not my that's not my area of expertise, and so it caused me to have to learn a bit more in areas that maybe I was less comfortable with. I was passionate about making music. I'm definitely not passionate about writing music contracts.
Any kind of contract is always terrible.
Right. And like negotiating terms with people and trying to establish a healthy value and worth for myself without being unreasonable to others. Those things were very, very difficult for me. But really, what kept me going was this idea of, okay, if I can get past that, now I'll get to work on the music, which is really my area of gifting and the thing that I'm the most passionate about. So learning that in our careers, there are the things that we love to do, and then the things that we have to do. And if we're responsible in all of those areas, I think at some point it starts to really come together.
Yeah. Take some discipline, and, oftentimes when we're young, we just think, oh, my dream would be to be this. And then we don't have the wisdom to pair it with, okay, sure, you could even, if the Lord's called you to that, you could definitely do that. But just know, even in the dream, there's going to be some hard work and some activities on the daily grind that you're not going to like to do. And you got to be disciplined to do it.
Yeah, no doubt. And learning to be honest about what our gifts are.
Right.
Just because we have a passion for something doesn't mean that's our gifting. I mean, I do think God places giftings and passions together oftentimes.
Mm-hmm.
But passion alone isn't enough. Like when I use the word excellence, if we're truly gifted in an area of our life, now there's a responsibility to improve that and grow it and build it and become excellent at it. And if we start, going through that process, and we find out that, hey, maybe we're not as gifted in that area as we thought we were. Maybe it was more passion.
Right.
And we haven't been able to achieve that excellence. Then we have to be honest with ourselves and say, okay, maybe there's something else I'm missing here. Maybe there's something else I have to re-examine in my life, so I can be honest with myself about where I'm at in this endeavor.
Right.
In my life, there was also, even if I was good at something, it didn't necessarily mean it was, for that time. Everyone knows that I'm a saxophonist. And so growing up, I thought that was it. I was going to be a solo artist as a saxophonist, and that was it. My whole life was going to be devoted to that. And early on, not only did I hit a lot of roadblocks in that area of my life, but I kept on being presented with these opportunities to write music, to record music, to produce, to mix, even mastering albums for people, writing music for others. And it wasn't necessarily my favorite thing. Saxophone was my favorite. But in those other areas, opportunities started to present themselves and doors began to open. And so I took that as a sign that, hey, maybe I need to readjust and reevaluate, the way that I see this going down in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a season where I had to let go of what I would consider perhaps my primary gift, playing saxophone. I had to hold that with loose hands and say, okay, this maybe isn't supposed to be the totality of my identity. And so I saw other doors opening, and I pursued those things. And wouldn't you know that from that, those areas really began to flourish. And then years later, the opportunities for me as an artist, as a saxophonist, came from this detour.
Wow.
The direct route didn't work. I kept on knocking on doors, and doors kept being slammed in my face. And I was questioning myself. Am I not good enough? Am I not accomplished enough? And the truth was, God's plan was different.
Right.
And he created a path for me to actually flourish even more, because now he had diversified my career. Instead of just doing one thing, he had opened doors in several areas. Like I said, writing, producing, recording, mixing, and some other areas as well. And so as my career then continued, I had more stability because there were these other areas to supplement my career. And then I guess at some point, it freed me up. I began to have more choices. Now there's all these things in front of me, and these doors have opened. And even eventually, too, the door for me to be an artist on saxophone. And so it began to free me up and allow me some creative choices in what I wanted to pursue next. And so it was really a beautiful byproduct of the way God, has taught me to continue to, serve others, and that has created more opportunity than I can even respond to at this point in my career.
I love that. It is so beautiful, and to see him working, and we kind of have to have loose hands as we, move forward in what we feel he's calling us to do, which you had done. Mm-hmm. And just to see, the amazing people and friendships that you've made. Some of the people you've produced, let's name a couple.
Oh, well, I've had a chance to work with so many amazing people in the jazz and contemporary jazz world. Guys like Dave Koz and Jonathan Butler, Tim Bowman, Eric Darius. Oh my goodness, there's been so many. Wayman Tisdale was one of my first opportunities that really opened some doors for me, and through that, with those artists, I got to do some collaborations with Toby Keith and Melissa Manchester, and a number of other rather well-known artists who are really were amazing people, and I would have never expected that, or getting a phone call to mix not just the big names that people all know, incredible musicians that I love dearly, that are dear friends, people like Shauna Chanda. Mm-hmm. My friend Terrell Martin here in Denver, my friend Mel Brown, who is just an unbelievable bass player. I'm getting to work on music with my twin brother, with a number of local artists who do gospel and rock and pop and country. I'm actually right now mixing a song for our mutual friends, Rachel and Dave, their new
Love
group,
them. Yeah.
Moon Honey. And so, all the opportunities have really, really expanded my palette, and it's just been such a blessing to get to work with so many great people.
Yeah, we can truly trust God when it comes to his plans, and even when we don't understand, he makes things beautiful for sure. Corner Cafe has come under Influencers TV. What would you say, Darren, is a positive influence? What does that mean to you, to be a positive influence?
Well, once again, I think that's been reframed at this point in my life. In my earlier years, I thought more about, okay, how can I take what I do and put a smile on other people's face? And I think that's really a beautiful thing. At this point in my life, I see being an influence, the more servant-hearted we are, the more that we make ourselves available to other people to be a helper, I think we can be an even bigger influence. I was talking with a friend yesterday, and he asked me who my heroes were. And, of course, I had a big list of heroes when I was younger, and most of them were very well known and famous people. And at this point in my life, I told him, I said, my heroes now aren't the same as they were 20, 30 years ago. My heroes now are, the sweet lady who just served us lunch. The people that serve us on a daily basis. When I'm walking around, a hotel or a restaurant, or I'm at church and I see the janitor, mopping the floor with a smile on his face, or the waitress serving us. These people, to me, are heroes. They're doing what they do with a genuine heart to serve others. And so, to me, now, being an influencer is about how I can use what God has given me to serve others.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, our society, we're kind of topsy-turvy with that. We look at influencers as, the famous people and stuff. And even when I thought of this rebrand, coming under Influencers TV, the goal is to really show that being a positive influence doesn't mean the fame or the accolades. It's just who you are as a person. You could be a positive influence as a mom and make a tremendous difference. And, you know, Priscilla, your wife, she's a teacher. She does so many other things as well. But, you know, being a positive influence to the kids that she teaches, that's where influence truly is. And everybody, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or a janitor or a Billboard charting artist such as yourself, we all have influence.
Yeah. And I think of influence as reach and legacy. And so there's so many things in our life that we can do to impact other people's lives that create a lasting legacy. Not just, you know, I mean, when my time on this earth is done, whenever that day comes, it won't be a Billboard hit that makes the biggest difference. The biggest difference will be, what did I do with the gifts that God gave me? And did I share His truth? Did I share the gospel? Did I share His love with people? And hope that in some people's lives that it took root, that it made a difference, that it brought them purpose and hope, not just for right now, but for the time that is to come. So these are the things that weigh on me and that I think deeply about these days.
Yeah, and Darren, that's why you are a positive influence and why you have made such a difference in the friends and the people that you work with, including us here at the Corner Cafe. And I want to mention once again, listeners, that Darren's going to be playing this Sunday, December 15th at 6:30 p.m. at Highline Community Church in Biff Gore as well. And Biff's show comes after Corner Cafe on Saturdays. He's going to be coming up here at 5:30, so we really appreciate Biff also on KLTT and being a positive influence as well. But we're going to have a good time. I'm going to sing a song with my dad, so definitely come on by once again Sunday, December 15th at 6:30 p.m. at Highline Community Church. Darren, professionally, how are you growing right now? I know you mentioned just kind of, you know, what you're thinking about spiritually, what you're thinking about just emotionally, but any tips of what you're doing now and future artists? I know you have a song out right now, O Come, Emmanuel, which is beautiful. So listeners, definitely get that for this Christmas season. But what else is new?
Well, I continue to write new music as always. So I have a new single that will be announced shortly that will be hitting the radio airwaves in January. I'm very excited about that. That's a project that I have done, and it's a collaboration that I've done with myself and 3 other artists. So that's very exciting. We'll keep on working on on a new single for me for next year, and also my twin brother. We've released some new music under our name, the Rahn Brothers.
Love it.
2 twins. Yep. And so more coming up there. I have some inquiries from artists right now, but in full candor, Rachel, this is a season of my life after spending probably too many hours a week working that I'm trying to settle back into a bit more of a reasonable routine, more of a 40-hour week, if I should say that. Yeah,
you deserve it.
So what that means for me, even professionally, is learning to take time to decompress.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that when I do that, I am much more refreshed and productive when I do sit down to work. And so that's kind of a refocus for me right now, trying to not overdo it and don't get me wrong, of course, I'm still working very hard, but making sure that I'm taking time for me and for my family and for quiet time with God, and that's become the most important part of my life.
Yeah, we oftentimes think, oh, I need to do this and that, and I need to work real hard and above 40 hours. I mean, I was caught in that trap too, and becoming a workaholic. And then to realize, actually, no, if you take some time to just compress, take a break, then you get more done. And sometimes we fight that because we just don't think in our brains that will happen. But it is completely true. So anybody who's listening who's overworked, take a break. That's our advice for the show.
Not the advice you expect to hear on influencers.
Right.
Take a break.
Take a break. Stop being an influence. Aw. Well, Darren, it's been a pleasure, of course, to have you back on Corner Cafe. So looking forward to this coming Sunday at Highland Community Church, and that is at 6:30 p.m. So we'd love to see you there, listeners. Also, go to Darren's website, darrenrahn.com. And that is darrenrahn.com, and you can check out the latest and the greatest and buy his music. So, Darren, we'll have you back, of course, looking forward to the new year and all that God has for you.
Great. Thanks for having me, Rachel.
Thanks for tuning in to the Corner Cafe, and we look forward to seeing you at the concert. And as always, see you at the Corner Cafe next week.